Good morning, everybody. This is IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. This is the Tuesday show. So that means that Paul Wadlington has decided to come on and grace us with his takes. Always well thought out, always a fun show. So we did predictions yesterday, part one, because we had about 900. The board loved it. But today we're going to do part two. And then also SEC spring meetings is today as well. We're going to be dropping, Sark's going to talk, Sean Miller's going to talk. So we're going to be dropping press conference videos throughout the day. So be on the lookout for those. But also there's plans on the agenda we want to discuss a little bit. And also the SEC, not just a football conference anymore, if you guys pay attention to basketball and baseball. So the SEC's leverage is already crazy, but it's growing way beyond the sport of football as well. And Sankey's not playing around this time, everybody. He's leveraging their power a little more. And so that's interesting. We'll talk about that later on in the show. Cotton, morning, dude. AR, good morning. Roaster, good to see you, brother. Let us begin, Paul. We get quite a lot of these, and one of these might be from a certain Paul Wadlington. Okay. Part one was yesterday. Let's hit part two. Go back and watch yesterday's show if you want to see it. It was a really fun one. Okay. Number one, and then how Joe's broken this down is statement by the board, Joe's rationale, and then he'll rate 1 to 10, I guess, on the feasibility scale. So 10 being quite unlikely. First statement, Trey Moore has more sacks than Colin Simmons.
Seems improbable.
Yes.
Seems unlikely.
Yes.
There is a way this could happen, and it would be very bad for Texas.
All right, give it to me.
Injuries.
Okay, yeah, we don't want to explore that one. Well, how would it work? Because we considered in the offseason and still might, moving him to this kind of will linebacker position, allowing him to pass rush from different angles. But he's not going to get the start at weak side edge over Simmons. So, and he's not always going to be on the field because LaFau is going to be important to the will side, right? So maybe in some 3-4 configuration, it's still not sure. Colin Simmons will be on the field almost all the time. Trey Moore will not. Therefore, Colin Simmons is going to have more opportunity to land those sacks.
He's also our best pass rusher.
Yeah, and probably the best in the country. So, yeah, that's where it's tricky. I don't know really how that would go with Trey Moore getting more than Colin Simmons. So,
yeah, this prediction's crazy. Not as good as the next one.
Yeah, that's true. The Texas coaches stop oppressing Colin Page, who rushes for 1,798 yards. So yesterday we were talking about there's certain parameters you have to hit, and the more parameters added is going to increase complexity. Like they have to win the SEC championship. Someone had Arch will throw a touchdown in the final 20 seconds of the SEC championship. So you had so many things to hit here. But Paul, ever the man of Vegas, is not fearful of a parlay, right?
Well, so it's a big enough ask just to ask them to stop oppressing Colin Page.
Yeah.
His oppression has been well documented.
Yep.
By us. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows this is an elite running back being held back by unjust prejudices.
Yeah.
But 1,798 yards, he's not going to even start against Ohio State, guys. He's going to accomplish that.
Yeah, they're going to figure him. They're going to figure him out through the season.
Yeah, it's really going to be OU where he comes into his stride. Yeah. So, obviously that was just a fun prediction. This is not going to happen. But he could rush for 198 yards. It's possible.
Hey, man, if we're struggling in the red zone,
figure it out. We're blowing some teams out.
Yeah. Joe gave this a 10.
Yes, Drew understands. Thank you.
Joe gave this a 10 here.
I like that Joe actually took this seriously, as if this was a real prediction. It's good.
The only thing limiting Texas football is a refusal to recruit the talent factory that is Austin Anderson.
Mm-hmm. And
next one up,
just signed a guy from there.
Yep.
Or just got a commitment, I should say.
Coolhorn says, Texas's D-line, interior and ends, will be significantly better than anticipated. Coaching and talent prevail with some experience. So this is tricky, right? Because this is always winnable because he can adjust what the anticipation was.
Well, yeah. So people are like, Arch Manning's going to be a little better than anticipated.
Yeah. And then
Like,
you just switch.
He was going to be good. Like, no, you didn't. No one thought he was going to be good.
Yeah. So this one's a little tricky. You can technically always be right with this language here. But Joe says his 8.5 is the average. So here's where this is tricky too. The ends will be significantly better than anticipated. We've talked all season about how this is probably the best room in the country. So their anticipation is already really high. Maybe they exceed it. But on the flip side, IDL has lower anticipation. They could beat it. There's just all if I was a lawyer, I would love this statement because I'd have a ton of stuff to be able to play around with postseason. Joe gives it an 8.5. It's really saying, do you think Baker's going to get the IDL to perform better than we would think?
Yeah. You're going to have to get a lot out of January, Murad Watson, Travis Shaw. I mean, I think in aggregate they'll be okay, but we're gonna see a drop off from. We've been spoiled for the last 3 years. We've put 5 defensive tackles in the league over the last 3 years.
6, right? Coburn, Ojimo.
Oh, okay, yeah, Coburn, Ojimo. I wasn't counting Coburn. Thank you.
Yeah,
so that's not normal. That's not typical. There's plenty of programs that would be delighted if they had 6 guys in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So we had 6 over 3, and the last 2 years of those guys, they were absolutely dominant. So we're just not going to see anything like that. Occasionally we're going to see a team hand it off and they run it up the middle for 14 yards, and we're all going to freak out and be like, "What? What just happened?"
Yeah, and I think going forward, right, like the young guys that aren't even on this list, like a Sharma or something, but I think Watson in January, that makes sense in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
But right now, I think too that we've kind of downplayed defensive tackle each year because of past stuff, and every year they have exceeded what we thought they were going to do.
Yeah.
And so I think people are kind of continuing that trend. But when you add this many transfers, it's also just tricky to know what's going to go on. And this is Baker's kind of first batch that he's, I would say, wholly responsible for too.
Look, this is the Soviet Army circa late 1944. We're just going to throw numbers.
I was going to say.
We're going to assign 1 rifle to 2 soldiers.
Yep.
And say, "Comrade,
yeah,
when Ivan Ilyavlov dies, pick up his rifle and carry forward," right?
Yeah. That was funny because every transfer defensive tackle that went in the portal, we were like, yes, we will be taking that.
Yeah, this is just a numbers thing, and we're just like, let's take all of them, and a couple of them we'll figure it out, and then those will be the guys we play. But we're gonna play all of them early, I'm pretty sure, and then they're gonna let it sort out naturally, and then I think they're gonna they're gonna sell these big guys on, hey, there's a bunch of you. If you go in, we're going to ask each of you to have like a series a quarter, literally a series a quarter. So when you go in, try your absolute hardest. You can't do any of this. Let's make a deal with the guard and I'll hold you up and you kind of pretend to block me and I watch the play as if it's a sweep. Like, discard that guy and go chase him, because you're going to rest for a full quarter before you go back in the game again. It's like, don't worry about your win. Don't worry about whether you're going to be ready for the next play. We're not asking you to be ready. We're like, just go play your series and then you get a break. There's 130 snaps between 2 defensive tackles jobs, right? If you've got 5 guys that you feel like you can play, you're asking for 26 snaps each. It's nothing.
Well, no, you'd probably play like 80 plays a game on defense.
No, we're going to have a good defense, dude. We don't suck. We're not.
Well, were you saying 123 snaps?
I'm saying 130 snaps between 2 defensive tackle spots.
Oh, okay, got you. Sorry, I thought you were saying 130 plays on defense again.
No.
I was like, dude,
if that happens, a lot of our predictions are going to be off, Connor. We're not going to have a very good season.
Yeah, we've seen that absolutely demolish us every time we get.
I think we're going to go 0-12. In fact, but no, I think they'll be at least fine. And the truth is, most college football teams don't have very good defensive tackles, and you can tell.
Yeah, Coach Top, 100% chance the defensive tackles will be much better than anticipated. I think that's fair because like you said,
you have to set your level of anticipation.
I would say it's pretty low. I think kind of nationally and stuff. The national thing is they don't have X guys. And I think everyone's kind of reasonable about it too with the success run we've had. So I think it's easier for DTs to beat expectation level than the ends would because the ends already have like sky high expectations.
You also, these are defensive tackles. So there's a non-zero chance. It's almost June. There's a non-zero chance between now and the start of fall practice that one of them like gets caught robbing a snack machine off campus or something. Like defensive tackles have a way of weeding themselves out. So
yeah, they have the highest bust rate we discovered in that one video.
They have a very high bust rate. So that's why you take a bunch of them and then you figure it out.
And Texas did just that to try to solve that problem. Okay. The Jackson kid from Texarkana becomes scary good by the end of the season. This cool horn. So it's Lance Jackson, our end. I'm down with this, man. I think he's a first-round pick. His brother showed his ability at Arkansas. I think this future is super bright for Lance Jackson. It's just how does Ethan Burke perform? Where does Vosick fit in? All of that kind of stuff is if we see Lance Jackson being a force. But I think Lance Jackson is a force. So by the end of the season, I'm down with it. 8.5. I'll give it an 8. I'll adjust that rating for Joe.
Yeah. Vosick's health will play a big role in this.
Yeah.
That guy can't get healthy. Because we know when he's healthy, he's potentially really good. I think he's got actually some more traits than Burke does. But he can't stay on the field. It's a problem.
Yeah. So I'm down. And Lance Jackson, I'm a Lance Jackson truther. I've been stumping for him. So I'm down with that. Texas has the best defense in the country, both statistically and eye-testically, by Joe T63. No. just like because you're putting number one, right? And it's verified by numbers. And I guess numbers we could go with like DFEI. So probably not. I mean, I just think Barron and Makuba and Taft, that combination was really special. I think our interior D-line would higher performance this year. I think our edge room is going to be a lot better. I think our linebacker room is going to be stronger. We have this like little shell of edge to linebacker that I think will be the best in the nation. But I don't know everything with Jalen Gilbo at corner. Muhammad, crazy worker. I could see him popping. But I still think Jahdae Barron is stronger. So it's just like I don't see us being number one in the country. If you said top 5, I'd be more down, but best in the country is where it's catching me.
How many potentially elite offenses do we play? Elite.
That's the tricky part. Elite.
Potentially elite. We don't know how it's all going to shake out.
Yeah, then I just end up naming quarterbacks. I think we'll still be fairly lucky. If Mateer pops off, maybe he has a lot of fun. Lagway. I mean, we don't face a ton of elite offense. Ohio State, if they can figure it out super early, which is hard to do. And then that's more I'm talking passing game at that point. I don't know who's going to have a crazy run game.
I think we'll face 2 potentially elite offenses.
Who? Ohio State and
Florida.
Okay.
Potentially elite, right? You need everything to kind of pop. Ohio State has the best pass catchers in the country by far. Mm-hmm. Not close.
Yeah, just consistently get it to them.
And then Florida's got a quarterback. They've got an offensive line. They've got a running back that I love. Supposedly they're okay at receiver. Like not great, but okay. I think that. And then Georgia will be improved. I don't think they'll be elite on offense. And then A&M will be – I think they'll have a good offense. I think they'll be improved.
They have receivers. Marcel Reed in the second year.
They've got Le'Veon Moss will be back. Their offensive line returns a bunch of guys. I think they'll be good, but not. I don't think there's a big upside for them.
So, what do you think? You think we'll hit number 1 in the country?
No. No.
Even after saying that, no. Joe
Yeah.
put that at 9.5. But once again, I testically. Maybe you can convince yourself.
The eye testicle is difficult concept
Yeah,
to get
it's
a.
yeah, it's a finicky instrument. After winning the Heisman and the national championship, Arch comes back for another season.
I love it. Well, those two things are co-linked.
Yeah,
potentially, right?
yeah. I mean, I think Arch come back for another season, kind of regardless.
Yeah, Arch is coming back.
Yeah,
You'd have to have something really crazy to occur for that not to happen. And even then, I think he still comes back.
yeah.
If he wins the Heisman and the national championship, there's a conversation because maybe there's a team maybe there's a good NFL team that we know is going to get the number one pick, but they got it because of weird luck or something happened to them. And they're like, hey, we're drafting Arch. And when we get him, look at this infrastructure we have. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You'd need really freakish, improbable occurrences.
Yeah.
The Mannings are I keep saying this because people are like, oh, I'm going to laugh at Texas when Ewers comes, when they were talking about last year, Ewers is going to come back and Arch is going to transfer. And it's you guys you're not following the plot of this movie.
Yeah, it's also quit paying attention to the national guys. They don't know.
They don't know anything.
Dude, the national guys get their information from the local media. So it's just pay.
Well, and traditional media who
Yeah.
also don't know anything.
But it's get the guys closest to the program, listen to them. That's where you're going to get your information.
Also, do a little research on who the Mannings are. It's not a family of street agents.
Correct. And they're not strapped for cash either,
They're not
right?
strapped for cash. They don't need to buy a house for their mama.
Yeah.
And then they also legitimately think, hey, college is not just for advancing his professional football. It's good for him to get an education and be socialized and have a normal life. So
yeah,
as normal as it can be.
Yeah, if you listen to any of his interviews with his dad, you get the feel that he's not headed out. They're on a different type of timeline for sure.
Agreed.
But let's just take a look at this. Arch, let's look at the first part. Arch wins the Heisman and the national championship. What are you giving that on a scale of 1 to 10 there, Paul?
That's a 9.7.
Okay. Paul, how about this part? After winning the Heisman.
Which is more probable of the two?
Heisman.
Really?
No, I mean, we have a good chance to win the national championship. It's
who's the Heisman front runner?
I don't know. There's somebody.
It's meaningless early in the season. Yeah. There's a lot of research on this. The preseason favorite is it's not meaningful, right?
Yeah. I mean, he has the important part is he's going to have the showcasing offense, good enough weaponry, and he has an exciting play style. And his name recognition is already there. I remember when my grandma was asking me about Arch Manning's recruitment.
That's right.
And so it was just this recognition is pretty wild.
It's kind of you need to sell out of the stock market when your cab driver or your Uber driver starts giving you stock tip.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's what have you heard about NVIDIA? And you're like, oh man, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to get out.
The bubble.
Yeah. I mean, and also Texas on television every week, very telegenic team that either people have strong feelings about. So that's helpful. I mean, he does get a Heisman bump. If I were a non-Texas fan, I would really already resent Arch Manning in Texas, right?
Oh, they do.
They do. They already do. He's just another guy if it wasn't for his name.
What's annoying is the national media trying to do their hipster picks now, where they're trying to go against the grain. It's just watch the tape, guys. He's a good player.
Yeah,
you have to be the cool guy that's downtrodden, so you can play half of the audience to be the cool Arch Manning hater. It's guys, if he was on Georgia right now, this would be a totally different conversation.
What's weird too is you'll read these weird inferential things Texas has had quarterbacks underperform their projection before. See Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
It's oh yeah, they're actually different people.
Right. Exactly.
They're different human beings. There's
and
not
very
a generic thing called Texas quarterback.
and then very different play styles.
Yes.
And the argument with Quinn, of course, he underperformed his projection. You're not responsible for your projection. That's what other things do. But if we put Quinn Ewers on any other team, Quinn doesn't get drafted. So it's like there's this element too that maybe he didn't beat at projections, but he did get drafted if it was that dire, according to the NFL guys. But guess what, Paul? Before we keep going, we need to talk about the one and only Academy Sports and Outdoors, baby. Academy Sports Outdoors is your new home for Jordan. Gear up today and take flight on the court, off the court, and above the court. And that's like me. I'm always kind of above the court.
Yep.
Unleash your greatness with head-to-toe Jordan gear for the entire family. Available in-store and at academy.com. Elevated styles and shoes for everyone. Unstoppable value every day. Plus, Academy offers easy ways to shop and save time, like free 1-hour in-store or curbside pickup on academy.com orders. Or choose same-day delivery powered by DoorDash. Order by 4 p.m. and get it by 8 p.m. You don't even have to leave your house. Check out our full Jordan selection today at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Oh, yeah, baby. All right, we got our Arch Manning talking for the day. Good stuff. Let's move on to Taff. Taff has 6 interceptions, and he's a first-team All-American, Ari Gold says.
Why is 6 picks so unbelievable?
Well, what did he get? What did he get last year? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, Joe writes, if Michael Taft gets 6 picks, that may lead the country and round up the votes that are needed to get a first-team selection. But 6 picks? He's acting like that's the crazy achievement.
Well, he got second-team All-American, right? And he has name rec. So he might – you know how they do that lazy, like –
First-team All-American with who?
The first-team All-American people.
Of a who? The coaches, the media, the blah, blah, the Lindy's, Athlon.
Yes.
I mean, you have to specify.
What's the is there a big official one? That one.
Yeah. Thinking Texas Football by Paul Washington.
Yeah, sure. All right. He's clearly in the running for Paul's. So first team All-American. What I think Barron only had 5 last year.
Well, he played corner.
What did Makuba have? 5?
Yeah, something like that.
So 6 is not crazy.
No.
But
no, I mean he's the funnel at the back of that defense.
But I don't think first team All-American's crazy. He got second team. He's coming back. He has name recognition. Voters are also lazy. So it's like if you did it last year and you're a second and we know your name, well, then let's put you on first and he's going to graduate. So I don't think this is a 9.5. I don't feel like this is super crazy. I don't feel like it's super crazy.
No, it's not completely crazy, but I don't know. A lot of the All-American teams too, the media I've noticed, they slant now towards NFL draft projections.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, it's a guy can be sort of okay in college or, fine, but he's getting a lot of NFL draft hype, and you'll see that guy it'll put him on all conference teams, even though his performance on the field was not spectacular.
Well, I remember in the Big 12, and I haven't paid as much attention to the SEC, but the Big 12 was almost entirely name recognition.
Yes.
So like their preseason stuff and all that stuff, I'd be like, because, I was doing the breakdown. So I would constantly be like, X player is very well known. His production does not match that.
That's right.
And they would still do that. So a lot of this too is just pure, who do you know on the Texas Longhorns? And Taff has one of those names that people know on the Texas Longhorns.
Yeah, there's a powerful name familiarity bias to all this.
Yeah.
And if you're kind of like, so I thought Makuba got slighted quite a bit in the postseason teams.
Yeah.
Because he was sort of an upstart. Like he had this one great year at Texas. So people were like, well, I didn't know what he did at Clemson. I'm not familiar with him, so I don't care. And it's like, you got to grade the year.
Correct.
It can't be the 3-year returning starter from Georgia automatically gets.
But they do that nonsense makeup stuff too. Like, say they miss on a year.
Yes.
Player, they'll get all sorts of flack for it. And then the next year, the player will be on it just by virtue of them messing it up the last year.
Yeah.
It's like they do. It's just dumb. Like
the other thing they'll do is just go on raw stats. Mm-hmm. So, for first team wide receiver, all Big 12 back in the day, you could tell the guy went like traced his finger across the stat thing of catches, yards, and touchdowns, and was like, okay, that guy's number one because he's number one in the conference.
I don't know that he plays in an air raid offense.
It's like he plays in the air raid.
Yeah.
And then you're like leaving off the guy who's the only receiving threat on this one team, and he's absolutely spectacular every week, right? He's their entire passing game. And I mean, it just like I remember it was kind of like Xavier Hutchinson at Iowa State.
Yeah, they force feed their number one at Iowa State, and so you can get fooled very easily into thinking their number one is way better than they are.
Yes, and it always made me laugh that they just go purely by the stats. Like they just go, okay, that guy had the most yards, so he's the best receiver. It's like, well, his offense existed in a context, and there's another dude who had 50% of this other team's targets, and he's awesome. But
well, that's the tough part too, with especially nationwide, but conference-wide coverage. We'll have somebody that's like, hey, like they cover the SEC, and especially nationally, it's like you didn't watch every SEC game. It's like you don't. It's hard enough to really know and cover one team really well.
Yeah,
and then to say you're going to do it with 16, you're missing games on the weekend, and then you're telling me about the SEC. So it's that thing too. Is just that's why this name recognition stuff helps. And stat lines help because the voters cannot watch all these games. They're not. So that's the part too. The system is not perfect.
Also, like not to go on a side tangent, interceptions can be a very deceptive stat for DB effectiveness.
Yeah.
Like Deion Sanders, not a lot of interceptions in his NFL career.
Well, also, if the ball's not even coming your way because you're so locked down,
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
If the ball's not even coming to you, your Darrelle Revis at his peak wasn't getting 11 interceptions.
Some of the best corners have no stats.
Yeah.
Nothing's going their way.
That's it. Nothing's happening over there.
Yeah. So that's the tricky part. Yeah. That's why it'd be being a corner has to be the most psychologically frustrating position because every snap you do well, and then you let a guy catch like an important snap for 10 yards and everyone hates you, but you've completely shut down a side of the field for an entire game. It's I would not like to be a corner. Next up, PK leaves at the end of the season to coach LSU, man. Although after some anxious weeks, Simmons and other key members of the defense will decline to enter the portal and reaffirm their commitment to Texas. Now, this is some strong narrative here. We got a bit of a rider. Volcat.
Well, Joe got out his jumping to conclusions, Matt, though. At anywhere in this, does Volcat say that Pete Kwiatkowski will take the head coaching job at LSU?
That's interesting. Although PK has been a life right coordinator and made many statements in the past that indicate head coaching isn't what he's interested in, it's difficult to see him taking LSU as his first job or LSU offering him the job. That
Volcat didn't say anything about head coach.
He didn't. But I kind of take it as like the coach LSU is like feels different than like DC, but it's tricky.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to happen.
I mean, I'm not surprised if they come after PK. I mean, his success has been impressive, right? So people coming after him, and there's been whisperings that that's happened. But I don't know. And PK is just like, he doesn't, beyond the reports of him not wanting to be a head coach, just temperament wise, he doesn't seem like he wants to be a head coach. He doesn't seem to enjoy the political process. Whenever we interview him, like at bowl games and stuff, he's cordial, but it's like, and he'll give you real answers. That's important too. But he just doesn't seem like he enjoys that part. And then also, not huge in recruiting, right? Like he's a big development guy, but we have like Lallin Clark and stuff like that. Those are the guys that get sent on the road. PK, of course, will be a part of it, but he's not like even super big into the recruiting aspect. Meanwhile, Sark's on the phone with our top recruits, like trying to make it work. So there's a lot of aspects to head coaching that I don't know if PK even wants to do. Not that he wouldn't be good at them, but just even wants to temperament wise.
I don't think he wants to, and that's why he wouldn't be good at them.
Yeah.
I don't think he has any interest in this, being a head coach. Zero.
So, yeah, and especially LSU, that's a interesting pick for a West Coast guy.
Yeah, there's no fit. I'll
give this a 10 because there's
That's a
also
good 10. That's a
there's
solid
so
10.
many there's so many factors here too that like Colin Simmons has to consider leaving. Then he has to decline to enter the total.
That's the thing that's hanging you up.
Well, look how many parameters there are. PK leaves at the end of the season.
Oh,
To coach LSU, there has to be some anxious weeks, maybe 3 to 5.
3 to
Simmons,
5 anxious weeks.
Yeah, and then Simmons and other key members will decline and then reaffirm some type of annoying
God, the
Twitter post.
contingencies of this prediction.
Yeah, so it's just
That's what swamps it. It's not PK leaving for LSU.
Yeah. PK leaving, it wouldn't be crazy because I know people that would want him, but LSU's where it's also weird. Player flag plant. Jelani McDonald will be the best player in the secondary, or at least the best among their SEC peers at their position. Evan Veith, our very own. Joe does not see this as bold at all, but I don't think he's the clear cut between Manny and Taff.
Yeah, I don't think this is bold.
Anytime you watch, dude, Jelani's one of those players that just like when he moves on the field, your eye just catches on him every time.
Yeah, he's just really talented. He's gifted. He can play so many different things. He can do a lot of different stuff. If he's the best player in the secondary, that would be totally unsurprising to me.
Yeah.
So I'll give this a 6.5.
And he could be at safety, he could be at nickel.
Yeah, he's a really gifted guy, and I think we're going to see that this year.
Yeah. Another team flag plant. The Longhorns do not lose on the road this season, but struggle in neutral.
Ooh, that's bold.
What's our road schedule? Georgia,
at Georgia, at Florida. OU is a neutral.
We're at Mississippi State. We're at Kentucky. We're at Ohio State.
At Ohio State. So at Ohio State, at Georgia, at Florida, I think those are the 3 games where we're most likely to pick up a loss pretty much in that order.
But this trend, I think this trend of the past couple of years has been really accurate. We've been really good road warriors, true road games, not necessarily like playoff stuff, but like true road games. We've been really strong, but we have struggled at home in weird ones. And we struggle at some neutral. So I think as the trend, but this year's road schedule is a different kind of thing. We do not lose on the road. Yeah, I think one of these teams will get you.
Yeah, we're going to lose on the road. We'll lose one game.
You give it a 10, or what do you give it, a 9? These are meaningful distinctions.
That's a 9.
Okay, cool. Good work.
Thank you.
Leading rusher, Christian Clark. Hell yeah, I'm down with that. Leading receiver, Parkin Livingstone.
Whoa.
I doubt it, but I think Livingstone next year is going to be a baller for us. It's just if Sark lets him on the field this year. You know how it is. He tricks us every year. We look at non-con and we're like, wow, we're going to play 7 wide receivers. And then we go to the conference and it's the same 3 no matter what. Simmons with 12 sacks as a sack leader. Okay, let's take this. Simmons with 12 sacks. Joe gives it a 3. Yeah, I'm like at a 3 or a 2. Colin Simmons can absolutely get 12 sacks, especially if you give him a whole season. Christian Clark, who I think is the most exciting runner in the running back room. I just love his style from high school. It's going to be hard, man. With Trey Wisner, he's got that Taft thing where everyone wanted to replace him every season, but he just won't let that happen. So that's the tricky part, minus injuries here. What do you think about the rusher conversation?
Yeah, it seems unlikely just because I know he's had this miraculous recovery, but coming back from an Achilles, that's tough, man.
Yeah.
And Wisner does have that reliability of if people aren't quite what we thought they were going to be, or they don't quite take that next step, we know we can just play Wisner and get a floor, right?
Yeah. And it's all the intangibles too, respected by the team. Like Wisner just has that. But I would love Christian Clark to be a leading rusher. And then someone says Bijan 2.0. He moves just like Bijan, like that alpine skiing style of running. He's running at full speed forward, and he's just able to treat people like trees. So I agree. He moves, and they're both Arizona boys. All right, leading receiver, Parker Livingstone.
That's 10.
That's 10. I think next year, man, it's very possible. But you know how Sark doesn't play a ton in rotation. And like we said, Colin Simmons with 12 sacks, that's not a shocking thing. Okay.
You know,
All right,
you know what is in play potentially? DeAndre Moore catches the most passes.
Okay. And you've moved him outside and then Mosley to slot in that scenario?
Yeah, he just moves around, whatever.
Okay. Just to get ball receiver.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking that they're gonna
Like,
try
could
to
he catch 75 balls and Wingo catches 70?
I was gonna say, well, are they doubling up Wingo, or you just think Moore is just more advanced?
No, I just think that he might get more balls and Wingo might have more yards.
Cool.
Like,
I'm down with it.
DeAndre Moore might catch 75 for 900 and Wingo
remember,
catches 70 for 1,100, right?
That first week Arch was on campus, they were throwing fades in the bubble to each other. So they've also had a lot of work chemistry-wise. So, yeah. This one, we win the Natty. Sark then retires. Not even goes to the NFL. Retires. Mac Brown becomes coach. So the retired coach unretires. And then Sark comes out. UT, please.
Mac without a K. I like when our own team does that. Our own fans.
I'm going to give this a 10.
This is just as an aggregate of prediction, very impressive.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Joe gives 9.5 to winning the Natty, a 10 to Sark retires, 10 to Mac Brown becomes coach.
Yeah, why would Sark retire?
That's the weird part. I can see Sark goes pro.
What's the least probable thing on here? It's Mac Brown becoming our head coach.
Yeah.
It's not Sark retiring.
But I do like the idea of Sark retiring because that just means like winning a national championship actually does bring peace to your soul. And then he's just done with, he's just like, you know what? That was the missing piece. It was.
And he opens up a candle shop on 6th Street.
I was going to say, yeah, he's just, wow, that really is it.
He opens up a Color Me Mine franchise.
Yeah. the art wine painting.
Mac Brown becoming head coach would be hilarious.
Hey, Mac's lurking around, dude.
I will personally spear point a movement to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. Texas shuts out the Aggies in Austin.
Almost did it in College Station.
Mm-hmm.
We had the offense betray the defense in that one.
That happened a few times.
No, I think A&M is going to have a much improved offense. I think they're going to be able to score. So we might play great defense and A&M still gets up 14, 17, 20 points.
Yeah.
Even if we play great.
Concepcion and Craver, and they've got some good receivers.
Yeah, and people give Marcel Reed grief. He's a good college quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he was pressed into duty last year.
Right.
Like, he's got plenty of opportunity to get better, and he's got a lot of the traits that translate well to college. I think he's got a poor NFL projection, probably. But, yeah, there's a lot of reasons he's a good college quarterback.
Well, we don't know. We have to see the magic test done on him this offseason. Is he able to handle magic, that kind of stuff? Because that's what took Wigman down. He wasn't able to handle magic. So we need to see if Marcel Reed's ready.
Well, there's different varieties of magic. There's dark magic.
I'm going to say, go ahead and name the varieties of magic, please.
There's fairy magic.
Dude, yeah. What is it? Sooner magic? There's
Sooner magic, where you can probably win games you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
It's magic is all around us, is what I have always said.
Yes.
Also, Olivia Newton-John said you have to believe in magic.
Thank you, dude.
Do you know that?
You're always offering value, dude. Beyond football.
That's why I'm here.
But I do not think we shut out A&M because the reasons Paul stated. Running backs back. Marcel Reed gets a year knowing he's the guy. They brought in some good receivers. It's year 2 in any system, right? And then Colin Klein, man, he's a good coordinator. So it's that aspect too. Paul, before we go to the next prediction, tell the fans the best mortgage man in the land, please.
I'm going to give you a magical mortgage man. His name is Gabe Winslow. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. He's a broker. What does that mean? It means he's going to shop your deal to 60 different lenders. And negotiate with them and select the best rather than just route it to Big Bank USA, which is what you'll get if you go to Big Bank USA. What you'll also get at Big Bank USA is a guy that you don't know who's working on your case intermittently, about 3 hours a day, occasionally, while working banker's hours. Brokers don't work that way. Something's going wrong on your deal and you call them at midnight. Guess who's going to answer the phone at midnight and get to work right then and there? Gabe Winslow. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. He is a diehard Longhorn fan, over 20 years in the industry. He's got a law degree. This guy really knows this profession. He knows all the angles. This is a guy you want in your corner for the biggest purchase of your life. Give him a call. Tell him we sent you.
And like Paul said, make sure to call Gabe at midnight. Gabe loves that, dude. Just call him.
Only call him at midnight. I want to go with you as my mortgage guy. He won't mind the call.
That's true. All right. Texas goes 16-0, never trails. By the name here, just win a natty. I should probably pull it up, right?
Probably.
Just win a natty. 16-0, never trails. Arch Manning's a god. Balance is restored.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It's going to happen. This is a 1 on the bonus. Yeah, because think about this, Paul. You guys aren't factoring this in. We get to early leads. Arch Manning's a god.
But never trails.
Yeah, we take the ball. We win every time.
I understand.
We win
but never trails means they can kick an opening series field goal. You're now trailing.
How are they going to be able to do that, though, Paul? With this team?
That's a good question because Colin Simmons is going to have 31 sacks. But and by the way, Trey Moore is going to have more.
Yeah,
which is the crazy part.
Yeah.
No, but didn't we trail OU last year? 3-0, and then we blew them out.
Was Arch Manning the quarterback?
Well, that's okay. You put me in my place.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arch's going to win every toss.
Okay.
He's going to take it every time.
Okay.
Or opening drive.
Because we always defer. You know that, right?
Yes. So he's going to change his strategy.
Okay.
Sark's going to see this, dude, and want to.
And our offense won't ever have a turnover in our territory early in a game that leads to a field goal.
You're getting it.
And we trail 3-0, or someone brings back a kickoff and we trail early in the first quarter 7-3. That's not going to happen.
We did have the annoying Texas has not trailed all season going into OU narrative.
Oh yeah,
the lazy takes. So that's always fun whenever that streak's going. You're just waiting for that to get broken. But that was all the way up to OU. It was like Texas has not trailed in a game.
Crazy.
All right, 10. Like I said, there's so many little factors where they kick a field goal. We turn it over in our end zone type of thing. Oh, okay. Texas beats Aggies 3 times this year. 10.
That's awesome.
Because so it's regular season, SEC championship, playoffs.
So we would have to beat them in Austin. They take the L, but immediately then we rematch in the SEC title game.
Yeah.
Because A&M was undefeated.
That's what it would be a single loss to us in the regular season kind of situation. So
we would be undefeated in the regular season, they're undefeated, or we have 1 loss actually, and then we beat them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean there's a realm where this could happen. It's a magical realm, Connor.
But it can happen.
It can happen. Yeah, and then it would be hilarious to play them 3 times and beat them 3 times. 1, you just beat them in the normal rivalry, which is agonizing to Aggies. 2, you beat them in an SEC title game, and the Aggies have never won anything since the Big 12 championship in 98? Was it? No, 90. What year was that?
I don't know when the last
99. Sir Parker, straight out of Compton. And then they never made the playoff, and then you're the team that throws them. That would be so funny.
So highly unlikely, but technically possible.
Unlikely, but I'm pulling for it.
Yeah, exactly. I wish it was
even almost as much as my Colin Page rushes for 1798.
Yeah. We run the tush push with Arch at least once.
I don't know.
I don't know if we need it. Arch is a bigger guy. They've snuck with Manning before, yeah. So I bet they have the push factor at some point. I mean, Sark starts trying stuff in the red zone if we still have issues. I mean, he does change it up.
Is tush push legal in college? Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. no one's doing it like the Eagles and making everybody furious.
Yeah.
So I mean 7, yeah, it's not crazy. It can happen. And it's only saying one time. So I don't know, 6. Sark tries stuff in the red zone, so I'm down with it. But
I
you
would
might not
do this
need
with
it.
DJ Lagway.
Yeah, but you did. Art's also a big guy. You might not necessarily need that, but that one's not that crazy to me. Texas rails OU, causing Venables to get fired the day after Texas.
Texas railing OU, not crazy. It could happen.
But Venables
causing Venables to get fired the next day, no, that's not going to happen.
That won't happen. Yeah, it just won't. Gibson goes.
Here's how it could happen. Joe is right. If OU loses, like this is their 3rd loss, right? You know, they come out, they're listless against Michigan at home. They lose that game. Don't they play a bunch of other scrubs? Oh, no, wait, they play Auburn before us.
Mm-hmm.
Jackson Arnold comes in and just destroys them in Norman.
I didn't even think about that. The Arnold factor could be serious.
If Jackson Arnold comes in and just smokes them after Michigan beats them, and then we come in and it's 41-6 in the Cotton Bowl, there is a realm where you could get interim coach, Ben Arbuckle.
Well, and Venables has used all of his lifelines, right? He's replaced coordinators. He brought the big-time quarterback in. He took control of the defense. This is where Venables did everything wrong.
They brought in – he did it all at once. You're supposed to phase it.
Exactly. Each year, you buy yourself time. I'm going to change the defense.
Texas coaches mastered that.
Correct. And that's why
their contracts.
You change each year, and it's a really evil way to do it, but it's the way that stretches out your tenure the longest. But Venables used all his lifelines up. So now if they're bad this year, there's just no excuse anymore of like, I have a bad coordinator or blah, blah, blah.
Well, and they also brought in like a caretaker, right?
Yeah.
And Jim Nagy, who reports to this shadow organization, like he reports to a parallel shadow organization of OU athletics. Like he doesn't work for Venables. So you already have sort of the point is you have an inherent infrastructure. Because one of the things people always say, well, you can't fire a coach early. That screws up recruiting. It screws up, all this different stuff, right?
That's a good point.
With Nagy, it's like, no. We have an infrastructure to address all that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But yeah, you need Jackson Arnold to light them up.
Yeah.
And then Texas has to light them up for this to even be on the board. But it's very improbable. Although, there is a world where Texas could blow them out. Weird stuff happens in Dallas. Yeah, Justin Wales makes a good point. He says, I hope this one doesn't happen. Lifetime contract for Venables, please. So I think the ideal thing for OU for us is they go 8-4, right?
Yeah.
And we beat them, maybe if it's even competitive, but they go 8-4 and they upset someone and everyone's, we're turning the corner. But then they compile some losses.
A big
we're
win
in this nebulous zone where you're like, we can't fire him. He's not sucking outright. What do we do?
You need a big upset towards the end of the season. And then you want them to win their bowl game. You want them to win their bowl game against
9-4.
But you want the win against the bowl game brand name. They're like half their team went to the league anyways.
Yes.
Playing, but they are a big name. So it feels like, we beat X.
Here's what they do. Connor, you nailed it. 8-4. They lose to Texas, but it's competitive. Yeah. Okay. If not for that interception in the third quarter, we would have, right. They have other competitive games. They're not getting blown out. Maybe one blowout, and they're like, we just didn't show up. Whatever. They go to the bowl. They play Oregon.
Yeah.
Oregon has 9 guys hold out and declare for the NFL. OU beats them by a last-second field goal. They have a W over a top 10 team to close the year. They're 9-4. They got wind in their sails, Connor. Yeah. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Make it happen. Another running back. On the first years or the first part 1, we had a lot of stuff too. Gibson goes off. So far we've had that Christian Clark will lead the team. Yesterday we had that CJ Baxter will come back and lead the team. Now Now we have Gibson will lead the team. So that's all backs besides our starter, Trey, because it's not a bold take to say Trey does it. But now we have Jarrett Gibson goes off and finishes most yards by a Texas back.
Well, a couple things in his favor. We're going to more of a gap scheme. We're going to probably run more just inside, like traditional inside stuff that would favor his skill set.
He's a good extra yard earner too. He falls forward well.
That's what I mean. And then, so here's his two big things. Three things, too big. One can be worked around. And one's related to the thing that can be worked around. One, he needs to hold on to the ball. Sark will not play fumblers. Like if you fumble the ball as a running back, as was it DKR said, it was better you died as a child, right? So there's that. He's got to stop fumbling. Two, pass pro.
Yep.
You got a job. You got to keep Arch Manning upright. When you're a true freshman, it's understood that you don't really know what's going on. It's a blur. No one ever asked you to do this before. Now you have to go step up and know which linebacker to go hit. It's not that hard. Inside out, guys. Like inside out. That's all your pass pro is as a running back. And then third, if he can't show some development as a pass catcher, he has to be a great pass protector. He can't just be a wash in the he can't be a net negative in every sense in the passing game when he's out there, because that will affect his ability to be out there as a rusher. Yeah. Because we don't have running downs at Texas, right?
And we love to utilize running backs in the passing game. So if you're taking that away from Sark, you better have some value add somewhere else.
That's it. So if you want Jarrett Gibson to be the leading rusher, which is possible, he has to hold on to the football. His pass pro has to improve, or he has to show some real improvement as a pass receiver.
And remember Eric's early spring reports, Gibson is who they were trying to get up to speed.
Yep.
So that's important, right? If the coaches are saying, hey, we want Gibson to be the number one, that didn't really happen. But in the practices, they were trying to get Gibson as the number one early. So they see something there. So there's that too. Of course, Trey wins out because Trey has that iron will. But this is not as crazy. Like 9.5, I feel is too high for that. It's possible, especially knowing the information that they wanted him to kind of be the guy going into spring.
Speaking of the guy, look at who posted that.
Johnny Utah, baby.
Special Agent Johnny Utah.
There we go.
Give him the respect he's deserving. Do you remember his backstory in Point Break, Connor? So have you seen Point Break, or are we going to have a problem here?
I think I watched Point Break when my parents watched it.
Are you? It's one of the finest movies ever made. Keanu Reeves.
I'll watch it.
All right. Well, so Special Agent Johnny Utah is an FBI agent, and he has to infiltrate a gang of surfer bank robbers.
Sounds
so he has to learn to surf. But Special Agent Johnny Utah, before the FBI and before he became an undercover special agent, he was the quarterback at Ohio State. And as he threw the game-winning touchdown in the Rose Bowl, his knee got rolled up on, and it ended his NFL career. So naturally, if you're on TV all the time and you're the star quarterback at Ohio State,
you need to do undercover work.
You want to go do undercover work.
Yeah.
Because no one will ever recognize you, especially when you're an extremely handsome guy who talks like Keanu Reeves. So I think it's a great premise. And I think Major Applewhite should have gone and worked for the DEA after his Texas career.
It's a typical pipeline. You see it all the time.
And he'd be like, my name is Colonel Applegrove.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you almost look like this Major Applewhite guy, man. And he's like, no, man, that guy's an idiot.
Let's surf. I have a negative one. How dare you, PHL Horn? I have a negative one, which will not be popular. Texas goes 9-3 and misses the playoffs. Let's talk about it. A lot of these have been quite positive. Misses the playoffs I have questions with. 9-3, man.
That's not improbable.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
Why is that a 9.0?
Let's see what Joe. In this scenario,
like a 7.5.
Let's say the losses are close ones. So Ohio State, Georgia, and Florida. A lot of that depends on what would happen around the nation, around Texas. But I don't think Texas goes 0 for 3 in all those games. But you can also lose ones you're not expecting to lose.
Well, is his larger objection us going 9-3, or is it that 9-3 would keep us out of the playoffs?
It right here is what I think is just 9-3, but I don't think Texas goes 0-3 in all those games, and he names the hardest games.
So we can't lose to OU, A&M.
Yeah, like that's where it's like maybe we do win all those games, but if you win all those games, are there 3 other losses on your schedule?
No, you have to go by the probabilities. But the point is, you lose 2 out of those 3, and then you drop one you weren't expecting, A&M at home or OU in Dallas. I mean, it's happened. It's not improbable. I don't think that's crazy.
Well, it depends on who you lose to. Like Texas goes 9-3 regular season and misses the playoffs. I mean, yeah, I think you would miss the playoffs at 9-3 there because Texas' strength of schedule is still one of the worst in the SEC again.
So you can sort of break people down into motivation of their agony of defeat people or their thrill of victory people, right? No, we can't lose to A&M or OU, Paul. Okay, that's good to know. Good thing there's no history of upsets in the OU series. But you know how most people are motivated either by the agony of failure or by the thrill of success. And I kind of feel like if you look at what happened to Ole Miss, you look at what happened to Alabama last year, the committee penalizes you. They're more agony of defeat, meaning Ole Miss whooped Georgia last year, whooped them. And then they went and lost to Kentucky at home. So did the high of Georgia offset the agony of losing to Kentucky? Apparently not.
Yeah.
Did Alabama beating Georgia in that crazy game offset the agony of losing to Vandy? Apparently not. So the way you get out of the playoffs, according to the committee, if you go 9-3 against a good schedule as Texas will have, it's not so much a loss to Ohio State. It's a loss at Kentucky, right? Or it's a loss to OU. And
that's where you get dinged. Everybody was like, Ole Miss lost to Kentucky. That's why you're not in. So
that's it. And so they sort of negated the highs, right? They said, hey, I don't care that you beat Georgia. In fact, you beat them soundly. You lost to Kentucky, man. You can't go. Now, that didn't work for Notre Dame because they cleverly didn't play any other really good teams, right? So that sort of Northern Illinois wasn't held against them,
which
by
is
the end of the season.
Insane to me, man.
Yeah, it was crazy, but
so anyway. It's really if you have 3 losses, who did you lose to, and then that's going to determine if you miss the playoffs.
Yeah, if we lose to Mississippi State, we're in trouble. That's a problem, but. So 10-2, we're guaranteed to the playoffs. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think there's equal scenarios where 9-3, we go to the playoffs as a low seed. And I think there's an equivalent scenario at 9-3, you don't go. No playoff. And they say, too bad, Texas. Don't lose to a 7-5 OU, right?
Yeah. We have a quick one. We still got to hit SEC, but this is Splendid Daddy asked Ian this. So the UFL question: Can the best college football team beat the worst UFL team?
Great question. So this is a variety of the other question that goes with this is, can Georgia beat Jacksonville? Right? Can an elite college team beat one of the worst teams in the NFL? The answer is no. They can't if both teams are motivated to play.
But the UFL is pro by
but that's my point. So people wisely have lowered the goals. They've moved the goal. They made the goalpost wide and moved it closer. And the answer is, I think an elite college team does beat a UFL team.
So do I. Yeah,
because you're offsetting maturity and grown manness, which is a factor, with just pure upside and talent. There's going to be guys on that college team who would be the superstars of that UFL team. and there's not an equivalent. The UFL team would have guys that would start for the college team, but they would be a solid like contributor.
Well,
they wouldn't be the superstar.
The top college team we know is going to have likely 12 NFL draft picks.
That's the whole
the UFL has no draft picks because they're not in the NFL. Now they might have been guys that played in the league and bottomed out. Like that's possible.
Well, they have a couple of guys on their roster who will play in the NFL,
and they have guys that'll go up.
Yes,
but it's still the difference of like the great college team we know has 12 NFL guys. The UFL team doesn't.
What the UFL reveals is, these couple of guys should have been 5th round draft picks.
Correct.
Now, the floor of a UFL team is pretty good just because you've got like 27-year-olds, right? That's why they can beat, they'll beat good college teams like, number 22 in the country, right? But they're not beating a maxed out Texas, Georgia, Ohio State. Nope.
Yeah, splendid, Eddie. Can the top 10 CFP teams hang in there? I don't know about top 10.
But the 7?
You would even say top 7? I would say top 3.
Depends on the year.
I just feel like because even with the top 10, the top 3 are still normally miles apart from like that 10 spot. So I would say top 3. I would feel comfortable consistently beating the worst kind of UFL.
Like, was Boise State a top 10 team last year?
No.
Okay. Name me the weakest top 10 team.
I'd have to look at the things. I mean, last year it's like Alabama-ish.
Is it right? Indiana?
Yeah, I don't know about their seeding, but Indiana, that's also tricky because they got a light schedule.
Yeah, I know. That's why
it's really like a Tennessee, right? Like it feels like in that realm.
Oh, well, see, that's a terrible team though, because but that's part of the college factor. Is can a team of pros just short circuit your quarterback if he sucks or if he's inexperienced? Yeah, because they can call different cloud coverages and do crazy, different stuff.
Well, this is also tricky.
Yeah. I am convinced not only would the elite college teams beat the best UFL teams, I think they would beat them by margin.
You think they'd beat the best UFL teams?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm down.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'd phrase it, does the best beat the worst? But you're down to say yeah.
Yeah, and I'm someone who's driven crazy by the lunatics who are like, well, the only people, Georgia Bulldogs could beat Dallas Cowboys. And it's
that'll never happen.
Dude, a team of NFL pros.
All NFL players versus half NFL players. All NFL players beat half.
And the key is if motivated, right? You have to have equivalent motivation. It can't be an exhibition. It can't be – you have to tell both teams, hey, if you play this game and win, each player gets an individual $2 million payout. Now you have a bunch of motivated NFL pros. They scout, they study, they prep. They don't take it lightly because people will do the well, sometimes a college basketball team can beat an NBA team, and it's like, don't go with those dream team scrimmage scenarios too hard. It's also just different too, right? There's a physical reality to football that isn't shared by something like baseball, where legitimately a team of college all-stars can beat the Yankees on any given day. That can happen in baseball. Not often, but it can happen. In football, there's a physical inevitability that is just different from other sports.
I agree. So, yeah, can the top 10 CFP B teams hang in the UFL?
You said hang? Yeah, they can hang.
Yeah, I don't know about top 10. It's just that's so weird when we're talking
also
about.
Also depends on the year, right?
Right. But I think overall the question is, can non-pros beat pros if pros? In that scenario, yeah, they can. Now, real NFL draft picks, no, that will not happen.
Yeah.
Okay. I agree with y'all, but the UFL's teams players also don't have to go to class. They have more time. But it's also, like we said, it's like Adrian Martinez is a quarterback in the UFL. We handled Adrian Martinez. It's like, so there's like a lot of these times I saw these matchups.
Yeah, I've seen the guys that are the quarterbacks in the UFL or like the star receivers. I remember them.
Yeah.
And they were like third team all Big 12. Like,
Yeah.
so relax. The big issue is not their talent level. It's that they're now 25 years old.
Correct.
That's the issue,
Yeah.
right? But the point is, Bijan Robinson, age 21, is a different level of athlete and human being than everyone in the UFL.
Correct.
And that's the issue fundamentally.
Yeah.
The way the UFL team would have success is if that college team is pretty talented, but they've got like a scrub quarterback who's just kind of a bus driver, and they could really focus their efforts on like derailing him.
Who are you talking about there, Paul?
No.
I was like, that was my question.
But I mean that is the way. Like, and I was thinking actually of Nico Iamaleava, where you could do stuff to like disrupt him, and in a simplistic college offense, he wouldn't have other answers. That said, Dylan Sampson would rush for a bunch of yards in that game, so I wouldn't guarantee that the UFL team would beat him.
Cool. Quick little SEC. So here's the big thing.
It just means more, Connor.
It does. It truly does.
That's a slogan I came up with.
Yeah.
And the SEC is using it now.
They implemented that rather quickly on their bill.
Yeah.
So baseball regionals are announced. Texas number 2 seed we are hosting. And what record did we tie yesterday in the baseball seeding world?
So we hosted 8 of the 16 regional sites, something that the SEC also did in 2023. The next best conference total was the ACC. They had 3.
Okay. And there's arguments. We did a video with 64 Analytics yesterday for the baseball show, and he argued to us at one point, he was like, they could have had a 9th SEC team.
I heard that. I heard that we probably should have 9 of 16,
but they were just like, this is silly.
Beyond the pale.
Yeah.
But to give you some context, the Big Ten, proving sort of the regionality of the sport and also the weather factor, they had 2 teams host regionals, Oregon and UCLA. So the 2 additions to the Big Ten who are warm weather, or I guess Oregon's temperate weather, they are the 2 representatives. The Coastal Carolina and Southern Mississippi got bids to host regionals. So that conference is as relevant in baseball as the Big Ten, which is kind of crazy.
So SEC dominant in baseball.
Dominant in baseball. Basketball, they set the all-time record for NCAA tournament invites. Number of teams that made the Sweet 16, 7 out of the 16, which was an all-time record. They had 2 in the Final Four, and then, of course, Florida won the national title. So the SEC, all throughout the year, people were like, by the metrics, clearly this is the best basketball league. And the traditionalists were like, oh, come on, this is nonsense. We'll see in the tournament. And we did see in the tournament. The SEC was clearly head and shoulders above everybody else in basketball. And that's a new thing. And here's what people don't get. All that football revenue and all that football money can be used in other sports and have an outsized impact. And so the SEC, that money isn't earmarked for any one sport, all that money they make. You can use it however you want. And so if I were a low-tier SEC football team, I would go all in on baseball or basketball.
Because you're going to pay a 3rd-string wide receiver when you could pay a point guard, a starting point guard.
$8 million will buy me a badass college basketball roster.
Yeah.
That will barely retain your best players in college football.
Yeah.
So if I'm a lower-tier SEC team, I'm going to go become a basketball school, and I'm going to make that my school identity. Now, some teams like Texas, they can do it all. Like, we can pay for everything and be an everything school. And we've done it in the past. But what people don't get is they're like, hey, there are some idiots on a college basketball podcast going like, why would Sean Miller go from Xavier to Texas? Xavier is all basketball. And it's like, that's not an advantage anymore, guys. It's not 1987. And by the way, Texas is a better basketball program than Xavier, morons. Look it up. But the point is it's about revenue. It's about facilities. It's about the ability to fund the future of this sport. And basketball is it's along with football, it's the only other potential revenue sport. Yeah. Like you can actually make money playing college basketball, like come out at the end of the year in the black. College baseball in a good year for Texas, we can come out about tied or slight profit. Most college baseball teams run at a big negative, big red. It's like
you have to be good and storied to even get a chance to be
even have a shot. And you know where you got to be? The SEC.
Yeah. The
SEC is the only profitable baseball programs in college sports.
Just to watch their stadiums in this league, I had no idea. Like
they get crazy.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
So the SEC, it's not just a football conference, and their leverage is continuing all over the place because they're good at basketball, good at baseball. Of course, we know the football success. So the SEC is just blossoming as dominant all around. And then you have Texas, who wins all the other sports too. So you have a bunch of these other Olympic-style sports that they're getting better at.
Well, and so there's beyond the money and the revenue and all that. The SEC is sitting at the right spot demographically. So the Big Ten has the largest imprint of population, okay? Just population. Also living alumni, because the Big Ten, one of the great things about the Big Ten is it's the major school in every state, right? And if they have a secondary school like Michigan State, they've got Michigan. You know what I mean?
Right.
So in Iowa, they have Iowa, not Iowa State. Iowa State's the second school. No offense, Cyclones, but it is. In Wisconsin, they have Wisconsin. They don't have Marquette, right?
Yeah.
It's like that all throughout the Big Ten. And so they got a bunch of demographics and just population, and they got a bunch of living alumni. What they don't have is the fervor of intensity consistently that the SEC does. But what the SEC now is getting is the population too. Because everyone's moving to Texas, Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, and it's blowing up. Like, you know, even Northwestern Arkansas, Connor, is like become this hotbed people to go move because it's pretty and it's laid back, right? So they've got all these demographic trends that are going to start to favor other sports. So you're going to have the SEC start to be good, not just at swimming because they have Texas. And I think Auburn swims, like they take it seriously for whatever reason. You're going to have a couple of other schools just be like, hey, let's do swimming. Like LSU decided we're going to be good at women's gymnastics. And they just did. And they have the demographics to support it. So that's the other part of the SEC that's interesting is they're growing and burgeoning, whereas the other conferences are fighting to like find relevance.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, even all the other sports. But SEC is just going off right now. And then quick little thing, we had Sankey. He got asked by the press. It's SEC spring meetings. He got asked by the press, I think yesterday, about, quote unquote, the good of the game, right? Are the SEC and Big Ten making changes that are going to hurt the wider sport? And Sankey kind of bit back. And I like this. He was like, I don't need lectures from others about the good of the game. I don't lecture others about the good of the game. Coordinated press releases about the good of the game. Sankey said, you can issue your press statement, he added, but I'm actually looking for ideas to move us forward. So he was saying that the Big 12 and the ACC kind of put out this press release about playing the morality angle of this because they have no other cards to play. So they're just kind of, like, well, is this going to hurt the little guy? And don't Americans like an underdog? And, just all these kind of angles. And the SEC is just kind of tired of it. And then in that same interview, he's like, look, man, we've been talking about this since 2018. We've been talking about this since then. So it's just like, look, we need to do something instead of just this holding pattern of where we have yearly debates and then everybody goes away and we have the same debate next year. It looks like the SEC is looking to actually leverage their position this year.
Well, the Big 12 particularly, but the Big 12 and the ACC, they want to have their cake and eat it too. So you agree to the playoff and you take all the money that brings, but then you don't want a meritocracy. You can't have one, you have to have one or the other. So once you institute a playoff, which is a conception that's new to college football, relatively speaking, and is something that is used in pro leagues to determine a champion, right? You're now engaged in meritocratic behavior. We're going to have to seed the playoff, and we're going to have these teams all play each other. And it doesn't really matter. In the old bowl system, you could play in a backwater conference and you play another backwater conference in a guaranteed bowl game. And then you proclaim yourselves, elite. And then there's a fake voting by the opinions of media people who haven't seen you play because you're on the West Coast and they're all in bed by then. And they say you're number 6 in the nation. So it's once you say yes to a playoff, you're now in the world of meritocracy, and the world of meritocracy isn't built on, come on, guys, be fair. Come on. We should have 3 teams in the Big 12 in the playoff. It's no, you shouldn't. Based on the quality of your programs, based on history, based on the actual quality. And by the way, if you have a Big 12 juggernaut, if Utah is just a juggernaut one year, no one's going to stop them from being in the playoff.
Correct. And that'll sort itself out.
And they can go in the playoff and kick everyone's ass.
Yeah.
And you can say, we told you so. Awesome. But that's not going to happen because you see the writing on the wall.
Yeah. And getting a bye, getting that free bye because you're a conference champ when really you were ranked 16 and now you get to be number 4 in the country.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to anybody. And that's what they're trying to keep. And then they're,
But again, so Connor, the BYU Cougars, this is hitting close to home for our guy Sark, but the Cougars have a national championship because they played in a bowl game against a 7-4 Michigan.
I didn't even realize that.
The Holiday Bowl. And they won a close game, by the way. And they were crowned the national champion because they were undefeated.
Yeah.
That's not a meritocracy. That's the old system. And that's the kind of stuff that drove people insane. And they said, we can't do this anymore. The best teams have to play for the title or this is all stupid. So once you agree to a playoff system, you're agreeing to a basic meritocracy. And people say, well, we kind of want to blend. We want a playoff, but also we want a league and that should mean something. It's it doesn't mean anything because we think your league isn't very good.
So is it a meritocracy if SEC and Big Ten go, we automatically have 4 in?
I think what they're doing is protecting themselves from the sympathist nonsense.
So this is what Sankey has said. Sankey would say, look, I wouldn't do auto 4 spots if y'all had proven that you care about strength of schedule.
Correct.
You don't. And he basically said, you guys are loss focused. And because you're loss focused and don't care about anything else besides that column, we're going to force our teams in because we play better teams than y'all.
Yep.
So until y'all go, look, a 3-loss SEC team is better than an undefeated Big 12 in this scenario, then we can change it. But y'all are 2-loss column focused and not really thinking hard when you guys are doing these rankings.
So is there some love of the game type stuff lost in some of this? Maybe. But, college football, the whole, not to get all meta here, but the whole idea of football is that it's roughly a meritocracy. If you're a coach who plays favorites and you don't play the best starters, guess what? You're going to lose. So even if you have a guy who's your best friend, but he's not the better quarterback, if you're at a team vote, you're going to vote for the guy that's not your friend to be your quarterback because you want to go win. The whole premise of football and I think say sports in general, but football particularly, is it's very meritocratic. It's not perfect, but that's the whole premise. It's not about equity or inclusion. It's about trying to have the best, playing the best, and being the best. By the way, it doesn't mean that the platonic best team in any given year wins the title. That's why you have a playoff. Sometimes you get upset. Sometimes the third best team wins the title and they're the champion. Hey, deal with it. That's part of the deal.
I can remember someone also went back and historically looked at how many times Big 12 teams would have got into this, if they go to 16, if they go to whatever. And these are actually right on par. The Big 10 normally would get 4, SC would get 4, and the other leagues would get 2. So it's also these numbers check out retroactively. It actually ends up.
I think the Big 12 is being done a favor with 2.
I agree too. Because really, I would say, look, if I'm the SEC in the Big 10, we can leave right now. The fact that we're even creating systems to think about you and include you is not something they have to do.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're already trying to look out, quote unquote, for the good of the game and others by including everyone. Because right now they can do an AFL or AFC NFC situation right now with the SEC and the Big Ten. And it's like, and they'll schedule you in non-con and you'll say thank you because they'll bring you eyes and millions of dollars. So it's like they're already looking out for you. So to act like they're not is also, I think, kind of pissing off Sankey.
Well, and what you have to understand is in most given years, there could be variations, but the number 5 or 6 team in the SEC is roughly equal to the Big 12 champion. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
Like, there's people that do this professionally and like actually have skin in the game called money on this, and they'd set lines.
Right. If they're wrong, it costs.
Yeah. So if you have the Big 12 champ in any given year, I'm talking about since the realignments and stuff. I'm not talking about 2005 Texas, obviously. But, they're about as good as the 5th or 6th team in the SEC. It's just true.
But it is fun to watch.
Deal with it.
Sankey seems much more motivated this cycle. He's not playing around. Like he's going at all of these kind of concern troll questions. And it seems like they actually want to get some stuff done. So I think that's pretty fun. All right, Paul, we went a little long today, but I appreciate you hanging out.
My pleasure.
I enjoy it. All right, guys. We have Sark. I think Sark just got done speaking at SEC Spring Media, so I'm going to get that video, put it up for you guys. Watch it. Same with Sean Miller. We're going to have recruiting intel at 1:30, I believe. Joe is in Destin, but so Justin will be hosting. And then this evening, we're going to record an episode of Girl Herd, so that'll be out at 7. So you'll have several videos today to check out, y'all. A lot of good content. Chat, thank you guys for hanging out. Paul, thank you for hanging out as well.
Thank you all.
Of course, this was IT Live, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Later, y'all.